Hello Python programmers, this is AK. In this video, we are going to create a tic-tac-toe game using one of the Python game development package that is named Eurizina. First, I will explain about this package and then I will show you how to create this game using Python. Making the games is more complex than learning machine learning algorithms. If you are studying game development, you can easily understand this video. Suppose if you are a beginner, please watch the game development playlist that I created. It will help you to understand the basic concepts. So before starting this video, do like, share, comment and subscribe. These things will motivate me to produce more good content in Python programming. Okay, so let's start this video. Eurizina is an open source Python package distribution. It helps to develop small indie games. By using this library, we can create 2D and 3D games also. Not only games, we can develop graphical softwares by using this game engine. When you are comparing this library with other game engines in Python, suppose when you compare this game engine with the Arcade library, I noticed one thing. When I compile the code with Eurizina engine, it takes very less time than Arcade library. The Arcade library mainly uses the sprite mechanism. If you don't know about the Arcade library, we already developed a game using Arcade. I give the card in the I button, you can check that too. Okay. In Eurizina library concept, it is totally different type of mechanism. I will show you how this mechanism works in this video. In the Arcade library, you can develop two-dimensional games only, but in the Eurizina library, you can develop 2D and 3D games. And one more option, when we are creating the 3D games, the camera angle is very important. This library has some features. You can easily implement and understand the camera angling techniques by using this. And it helps to create a good interaction with the game that you develop. Okay. By the way, in the case of understanding the code, the Eurizina library provides a good documentation facility that helps to understand the methods, parameters that are built in it. And the next one is the platform facility. Eurizina library only works on Windows and Linux platform, and that's all about the explanations. Let's start to code. First, you need to install the Eurizina package for creating the game. So open your command prompt and type pip install Eurizina. This command will help you to install this package. Probably it takes some time because it uses the Panda 3D library to make the 3D visualizations in this game. The Panda 3D library is a 3D object development library. It helps to develop 3D modeling in this Eurizina engine. Okay. After installing this library, you have to open the Visual Studio Code and import the Eurizina library. Next, we need to create a game window, and inside this game window object, you need to insert your elements that you are going to use in this game. The first process is we have to set the camera angle. So type camera.orthographic. Orthographic is a kind of projection. This projection is used to represent the three-dimensional objects in two-dimensional screens. For your understanding, when you are inserting the three-dimensional objects in the game, at the end of the day, you can play the game with two-dimensional window screen. So we cannot play games on three-dimensional screens. So this is what the orthographic is. Okay. You have to set the orthographic projection as a true. So only we can get the orthographic projection in this game. Next step is we are going to create a field of view. This parameter decides what are the things the player needs to see in this game. And in the field of view, give the value as 4. After that, create another parameter that is called camera.position, and in this parameter you need to pass the x values and y values in a tuple. So we finished the camera angles. Now we need to create the entities. An entity is a basic term in the game development field. The entities are the objects that are present in the game. Now we are going to create the entities for this game. For that, declare a variable called as player, and in this variable call the object entity. So in this library, if you want to create an entity, you need to call this object and pass your requirements as a parameter in this object. So this is the way to create an entity. Now create a variable called cursor, and in this variable pass the object tooltip. So this object is used for customizing the game cursor. Okay. Next, we need to create a game background entity. Create an entity object and pass the parameters like models, textures, to customize the background of our game. So we created the required entities for our game. Now you have to understand that in the tic-tac-toe game, we need a board to play the game. In the game board, there must be 9 cells with 3 rows and 3 columns. So this is the basic structure of the tic-tac-toe game. Okay. First, you need to create a game board with 3 rows and 3 columns. Declare a variable called board. In this board, I created 2 for loops. The first for loop holds the variable x. That means it traverses through the row-wise manner. And y variable for loop traverses through the column-wise manner. Why we are traversing means we are creating the tiles by using this for loop traversals. So we need 9 cells. That is why we are passing the range value of 3 in the both for loops. Next, create a variable b. This is for the creation of buttons, and in this object pass the parameters like parent and positions. This parameter helps to place the buttons in this game. And create a matrix variable called board. So this variable helps to identify the winners at the end of this game and pass the value as b. Okay. So next, declare a function called onClick. We are going to define the onClick functions. Suppose when you click the first cell, it will print O in the cell. To identify that click, we are defining the colors. When you click any cell, it changes the cell color. So this is the concept of this project. Okay. Next, you need to create conditions. Simply, this conditions defines the color of the players. There are 2 players in the game called O and X. The player O has the color of azure pattern and player X has the color of orange pattern. So this is the condition that we are inserted, and another thing is we have to insert the cursor color and cursor text at the end of this part. So this is the logic that we need to create this game. Initially, you can feel a little bit hard to understand, but don't worry, once you practice this game development project, and it will increase your logical abilities. Okay, we finished some important logic for this game. Actually, this game is very simple one, and it is easy for the beginners to understand the logic of this game. At the end of this game, we have to declare the winner of this game. For that, just write the logic for winning. Create a function called check for victory, and in this function we are going to write the logic of the game. I will tell you the concept. Create variable own, and in this variable we are going to write the 9 logics for identifying the winners in this game. I'm not going to cover all the logic. I'm going to explain one logic. You can easily understand the rest of them. Okay, so first see the logic condition that explains that the board equal to the name of the player. The board of 0 rows and 0 column, it is equal to the any player name. Either it must be player O or player X. The same logic is applied on the next cell. Here we are defining the each cells like board of row and board of column. Okay, the first matrix indicates the row value and second one is the column value. In the second one, the board of first row and 0th column, and that must be equal to any player name. Same for the third cell. It must be the board of second row and 0th column. It may be any player name, either player X or player O. And our logic is, if these 3 cells got the same player name, then the player is declared as a winner. So this is our main logic. So this is the first winning condition. Totally 8 winning conditions are available. You have to try all possible combinations in this game to produce the correct results. Okay. Once you see the full code, you can understand all the logics. And the final step is, if any player won the game by using above logics, so our program will highlight the player name. So this is the final step of this program. Okay, so that's all about the code, and let's run this program. So you can see that our program works well, our game runs without any errors. So that's all about this video. If you like this video, give a like and subscribe and share for more interesting scripts in Python. Thanks for watching and thank you. See you on next video.